What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical average American here today to react and learn about would Canadians consider moving to the United States? Come on, we got McDonald's and Starbucks as far as the eye can see. Our large drinks are larger than any large drinks out there. We got stuff. We got stuff here, but seriously, Americans, when stuff starts going downhill in the United States, and heck, sometimes when stuff is just not even going that bad in the United States, a lot of Americans say this same thing where they're like, that's it, I'm sick of this, I'm going to Canada. Canada is where it's at. Which happens to kind of be true. I've learned a lot about Canada, and I actually can't really disagree with that sentiment, even though I think a lot of the Americans who say I'm moving to Canada don't even know that much about. They happen to be correct, but they don't really know why, which is kind of funny. But today, we're going to pose a fun little hypothetical question. Would Canadians do the same thing in reverse? Would Canadians consider moving to the United States? I don't know why. My first kind of knee jerk reaction to this is to think I don't think anywhere close to the percentage of Americans who would move to Canada. I don't think anywhere close to the same amount of Canadians would ever consider moving to the United States. Although I think there's some stuff in the US that's considered like cool and certain opportunities that maybe Canadians do actually view as good opportunities and cool stuff and sort of cool things to do, at least. I don't know. We got Hollywood. Is that a thing? We got some amusement parks. Disney World, perhaps? But I don't know. This just seems like a really interesting question. If I could see some answers from just sort of a sample size of Canadians, which is exactly what we are going to look at today. Someone on Reddit asked, would you consider moving to the US? And let's take a look at some of the answers. First answer, original poster. I think you know what the answer to this question will be on r/AskACanadian, which is the name of this subreddit discussion. I think you know what the answer to this will be. Oh no. Oh no, that's not a good start. No, thank you. My health issues would bankrupt me. Okay, fair. So we're already talking about the health care. We are, I knew it was only a matter of time. Bam, second comment about the health care. If you are a United States citizen and you have health insurance, particularly through your job, almost everyone gets health insurance through their job. If you have it through your job or you're just in kind of a stable financial situation where you can buy health insurance from the government, I say this a lot. Most people in the United States are gonna be okay with the whole healthcare payment thing. We're okay because a lot of the stuff you need is covered by your plan. You have to pay every month a certain amount, couple $100 a month usually, and you get the care you need, and it's very good care in America. It's very, very good health care. I won't deny that. It's just that when you do end up in a situation where you have a disease or an operation that's not covered by your plan, you are beyond screwed. And God forbid if you're in a financial situation where you can't afford health insurance at all, or you don't have a job, you better not get sick. That's my advice to you. Stop it. Stop getting sick. That's what the government literally thinks we should do. Well, just don't get sick if you can't afford it. It's like, what? What? So the fact that this is a really, really highly rated comment by Canadians, no thanks. My health issues would bankrupt me. I totally get it. Maybe for that reason alone, you could actually just go with that reason alone, and I would get it. Same, indeed. Yeah. No. Oh my gosh. Would you consider moving to the United States? No. No. Oh no. Oh boy, this is maybe going a little harsher than I even anticipated. I suspected it would lean this direction where Canadians, for the most part, are like, well, I'm really proud of where I live, and things are really great, and our social programs like education and healthcare are like very good, and there's lots of opportunities here to have a long, prosperous career and family or whatever you want to do. So it's really hard to kind of identify a reason that a significant amount of Canadians would want to move to America, I guess you could say. Although I feel like if I was looking for reasons that Canadians would want to move to the United States, Canadians would be the ones who could identify those reasons. So maybe there's some stuff in here, but so far it's just no. I did for 2 years. I did not enjoy it. Oh, I wish he would actually get a little more specific. Did not enjoy it. Man, I wish there was a story behind that. I love the details of this stuff. All right, this person did. Tried it, didn't like it. Oh, here we go. I did for 6 years. I also did not enjoy it. I've said this many times in the past, the amount of batshit crazy, political, religious, racist fusion that seeps into daily life down there is intolerable. Okay, that's normally I would just be like, yeah, okay, in general, true, but that is like, I don't know if I can agree with that statement overall for the whole United States. I've lived in a couple different areas of the United States. The thing is, never really in a big city. I've always lived in kind of smaller cities and smaller towns around the United States, and when you're in that kind of living situation, that kind of community, people are very nice. And yes, they get political. Yes, there's a lot of religion in the United States, but people, a person, is kind and nice, and actually reasonable in my kind of experience. Although it is true that my barometer for what is acceptable in terms of all of that is going to be different than a Canadian. So I'm kind of aware of that American internal bias I probably have, but I always have to say when it's this extreme, like the amount of batshit crazy people is just intolerable. It's just like, I think you might have just picked a bad place to live in the United States, which I'm totally willing to admit there are plenty of those. Plenty of those. But there's a lot of great places as well. That's kind of how it works all over the world, I would imagine. Some fantastic places to live with excellent compensation. Okay, so they're admitting there's some good places. But there are other things involved. Even with our company provided medical insurance. My wife and I most likely would have gone bankrupt if our son was born down there. He spent a lot of time in the Vancouver's Children's Hospital and had continuing care till he was 18. Exactly, perfect example. Perfect example of where the American healthcare system really is lacking. If you have a chronic condition or just some kind of unusual condition, it's really a coin flip whether your particular insurance plan is going to cover it and how much they are going to cover. And that can really, really screw you, especially if you have something like this going on with your child. I'd suggest doing what we did, getting a head start financially, working in the States, then moving to the social democracy of your choice to raise a family. Oh, interesting. Let's see here. What else do we got? Expat. I lived about half my life in America, half my life in Canada. And each half is long enough to have seen 3 or more presidents. Okay. With that in mind, absolutely not. Wow. I don't think I've seen one comment so far that has even hinted at a yes. Hinted! If I went back home to Canada, I'd want to go back, to America. If I went back home to America, I'd want to go back to Florida, where I came from. Considering the political climate, I'd rather not. I like the healthcare. I like sending my kids to school without worrying they'll be shot. That's another thing that I see that's, I don't know. It's kind of a touchy subject, isn't it? Because I was going to say, okay, children are not getting shot like on a daily basis all over the United States. But if one child is shot in a school per year, that's too much. And in America, it's much more than that. So I think with some further reflection, like, okay, even the amount of violence in our schools, even though that doesn't ever personally affect me in the areas I live, that does not mean it's not necessarily a huge problem. It is definitely a huge problem. What else do we have here? Man, these comments are really forcing me to do a little self-reflection here. I like it though. I like it. I'm gonna be, God forbid, I'm gonna be convinced by the end of this. What do I want to move to the United States? No, wait, I'm already here. No. I think it's awesome. I've never had to consider school shootings in their fashion choices. You mean like those bulletproof backpacks they tried to make popular? I also rather not like being forced to gestate a fetus. All right, we're not getting in. We're not getting into that. All right, stop. Oh man. All right, my story. Immigrated from the U.S. from Poland. Lived 5 years in New York City. Immigrated to Canada with the plan to go back to the United States. Got my Canadian citizenship. Then I got job offers in the U.S. So I went to the U.S. Good money, benefits, all the bells and whistles. What do we have here? The night before I moved, I flew to Canada, told my wife that either the U.S. has changed or I have changed. We would not be happy there. Wow. So this person had job opportunities in the United States, went to check it out, and I don't know how long he stayed. He stayed for like 4 years, and basically was determined, this ain't it. This ain't it. This isn't where we're raising a family. Which says a lot, honestly. Says a lot. I will kind of continue. This is a theme I guess I'm going to stick with is when you live in the United States, you do have to be quite particular about where you live based on what kind of people you want living around you, what kind of political affiliations, what kind of community you want around you, what kind of school of thought you want to live in. And if you want people like-minded to however it is you think as a life philosophy, there are plenty of options in the United States for everyone. You just have to choose carefully, I suppose, and correctly. Ha! Not a chance. Oh my gosh. I love some of these answers. Oh, I'm smiling through the pain. Mais non. Taberbach. Is that French? I feel like it's no. I feel like we're saying no. French translation. What does this mean? But not tabernacle? What does tabernacle mean? Tabernacle? Yeah, it's like an ornamental box in which communion hosts and wine are... In Quebec, it's a popular swear word. Okay. Of course it is. I've been saying a swear word in Quebec French without knowing it. I think they were saying no. That's funny. No, not only am I just not keen on a lot of parts of the United States, but I don't know of any job opportunities. My field is history. My knowledge base for American history is only 1870s. Okay, so as a history teacher, no conceivable reason I can imagine moving there. That's kind of what I started with at the beginning of this video. I was like, can some Canadians just communicate to me some conceivable reasons why you would want to lose out on everything Canada has to offer in favor of the United States? I don't know. Is there anyone in this discussion? Is there anyone? I did, then I came back. No, never. Quite frankly, the politics, gun culture, healthcare does it for me. Thanks, but no thanks. So I can't argue with that. I can't even argue with that. Like, we have messed up politics. We have gun culture, especially compared to basically everywhere else on the planet. I know our gun laws are considered like very extreme. The fact that it's very easy to obtain a gun, and there's a lot of gun violence in certain parts of the United States. Yeah. Healthcare, that alone, to me, is a good enough reason, because our healthcare system is terrible. For certain people, it is terrible. for many people, it does the job, which, yeah, maybe is why it hasn't changed, because it, like, barely works. And, healthcare is basically a business in the United States where the healthcare companies are making a ton of money, so they definitely don't want stuff to change. The health insurance companies definitely don't want our system to change. Unfortunate. Californian here, visiting British Columbia for the first time. I do not want to go back to California. Even the Americans in this discussion are starting to chime in with, like, I visited Canada. I don't want to go back to America, even with our weather. Wow. Wow, as someone who's moved from the US to Canada, hell no would I ever move back. Canada might have flaws, but it is better than the United States. That's kind of oh, here we go, the nose. That's kind of the overall sentiment I'm picking up here is Canada is just kind of a smaller, better version of what the United States is trying to do in a lot of policies in a lot of areas. It's just like doing it better. Basically, it's a little smaller, it's a little more tight knit, more diverse as well. No. No. Absolutely effing not. Why would I move somewhere where my rights as a woman are being stripped away or where I have to worry about my children's safety? That's one that's come up a couple times now about the children's safety. I guess it's kind of sad that as Americans like myself, I guess I'm a bit desensitized to that whole thing. And I would be I like if I was living in a city where there had been like a school shooting or something, I would literally move. Like, but like luckily that has not personally affected me, but it's horrible, and the fact that it happens anywhere in the United States is beyond tragic. So I get this. I get that. I get that. What else we got? As a high-earning, young, healthy, childless white... As a high-earning, young, healthy, childless white guy, of course! Change any of the above, it becomes less attractive. All right, fair. No, I'd rather my kids not be afraid of school. Okay, okay. Man, I'm hearing this one a lot. A lot. That's why I would suggest moving to, like, a small town, basically. Small, quiet town. Although I am starting to understand that just because it is true in America, everyone has like a lot easier access to guns and firearms, which that alone might make like Canadians too uncomfortable to even want to consider living here. Like it doesn't even have to be a place where gun violence has occurred. Perhaps just the potential threat of gun violence and the fact that guns are accessible in the United States, maybe that alone is too scary of a proposition, and a lot of Americans like me have simply had to be okay with it, because we live here, our lives are here, so maybe there's a little mental gymnastics going on there. Perhaps. As a Canadian, currently living in the US for grad school, I miss Canada every single day. Hell no! Broken healthcare, war on women, anti-trans, anti-LGBTQ, frequent mass violence. Yep. And again, depending on where you got, that's why you gotta, there's ways to be strategic about where you live in the United States. That's my best advice about all that stuff, because that stuff certainly does exist in some places. No. Have kids, don't like fearing for their lives. I'm kind of shocked how much I'm seeing this. That is not really a discussion that's had, like, very commonly in the United States, at least where I live and the people I know. Like, fearing for the safety of our children at school is not, like, Canadians that I'm reading here are a lot more worried about that than Americans are. Maybe that makes us insane, or maybe, like I said, we've had to come to terms with it, but I guess it's also just this idea that there are parts of the United States which are dangerous, and then there's parts where we consider to be safe, and if you're living in one of the safer areas, then you don't worry about this stuff, even though it is happening literally in our country. I'd pretty much live anywhere in Europe over the United States. Fair, fair. Okay, you know what? I think I get it. I get it. I am hearing the people, and the people, the Canadians, are saying no. Would you consider moving to the United States? No. For a variety of social policy reasons, political reasons, safety reasons, no. And I get it. This was fascinating. This was a fascinating look into Canadians and their kind of view on American culture. It's fascinating. It's great to get outside my little bubble, my little American bubble, and hear about the opinions of a lot of Canadians, especially on a topic like this. So, I don't know. Guess I'm headed to Canada after this. I turn off this video. So, see you there. Now, like I said, I'm pretty happy with where I live. I guess I'm one of the lucky ones, and I get health insurance through my job, which is great. So, yeah, a lot of these factors I've kind of guess done my little American best to mitigate in that sense, but I totally get and sympathize with all these reasons. And I don't know, this was just a really interesting, fun kind of experience reading this. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment. Perhaps leave a comment on your opinion if you would consider moving to the United States. That would be interesting. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada and Canadian culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.